Now, if the larger issue is a woke globalist world versus a rising post-secular parallel polis, even a parallel civilization, then we're going to have to make sure that we don't rely on the old divide between Democrat versus Republican, because that just screws up everything. That messes with the way we view the world, okay? Because we know both Democrat and Republican can be equally globalist. So that's the first big takeaway. The first big takeaway is the point of animosity is not Republican versus Democrat. It's populist versus permanent political class. It's nationalist versus globalist, right? That leads to a second big takeaway. If we're going to defeat the globalists, this is key. I want you to write this down. This is it. This is going from the known to the unknown. Here we go. If we're going to defeat the globalists, what do we need to defeat them? We need a different world. Or if you want to keep the term, if we're going to defeat the globalists, we need a different globe. A fundamentally different world order. If we're going to defeat the new world order, we're going to have to defeat them within another world order. A world order that can effectively challenge and indeed defeat globalist powers, particularly the powers, and I see them as a triangle. I know a lot of you know this from my analysis. So the triangle of powers around which all the other powers revolve are the deep state in DC, the bullies in Brussels, the EU, and the demons in Davos, the WEF. Okay. And so what's so fascinating is we actually have a case study of this. We've got a case study of this approach of recognizing what the real divide is, and then finding an alternative to the opposite divide, to the antithetical side of the divide. Something that can push it back, that can crush it. So if our real enemy is globalism, we need to find another globe. If our real enemy is the New World Order, we need to tap into another world. That's essential. And the case study that happened relatively recently in terms of its fruit actually did the impossible. Many people don't realize that the fall of Roe v. Wade, which was one of the worst decisions just in terms of jurisprudence reasoning. I mean, we had totally pro-choice legal analysts come out and say Roe v. Wade was one of the worst decisions ever made in terms of legal reasoning, jurist theory, and the like. But a lot of people don't realize Roe v. Wade fell precisely because of a parallel polis. This is awesome. Again, talk about behind the scenes. You're going to love this. All 5 justices that overturned Roe v. Wade all belonged, they were all members, or continue to be members, of a parallel legal community known as the Federalist Society. Now, if you don't know the story of the Federalist Society, it's fascinating. They were founded in Yale University back in 1982. Okay, and so I would have lived 20 minutes away from where the Federalist Society was founded. I was a good old Connecticut kid, grew up my whole young life in Orange, Connecticut. Don't know why I'm speaking Southern. It was started by 3 law students who wanted to start an alternative to the world that they had at Yale University. That was basically liberal left. That's all they heard. Liberal left orthodoxy, all their profs were liberal left. The whole culture at Yale Law School was liberal left. So what did they decide to do? We're going to start a new culture. We're going to start a new society. We're going to start a new community. We're gonna rather than just suck up all this leftist nonsense, we're gonna put together our own culture of practice. This eventually led to a number of inquiries from law students throughout the nation on how to set up their own Federalist Society chapters at their own home institutions. They eventually set up their headquarters in Washington, D.C., and transformed this mostly law school movement into a national parallel legal and judicial movement. They did so through establishing professional chapters at all the major cities, hosting annual conferences, all of which dealt with issues such as property rights, affirmative action, church-state matters, federalism, free speech, and most especially Roe v. Wade, which again was an embarrassment to legal reasoning. So today, as a result of these efforts, the Federalist Society boasts over 45,000 members. It operates with a multi-million-dollar budget and has chapters in every law school across the country. When those 5 justices struck down Roe v. Wade, the masterful reasoning, the majority decision rationale given by Justice Sam Alito basically mirrored what the Federalist Society has been arguing now for decades. That parallel polis, that parallel world struck down Roe v. Wade. That's how you take down woke agendas. That's how you cancel culture. And keep in mind, the Federalist Society is not like the American Civil Liberties Union, right? The ACLU or a number of other left-wing public interest law firms. They do not file lawsuits or lobby for legislation. Instead, what the Federalist Society has done over the last few decades is they provide a networking platform for helping legal minds think better and speak better. And conservatives feel like they're not alone in the juridical world, so they can find their voice and effectively defend faith, family, and freedom in law. It is joining your own Federalist Society, your own what we call targeted parallel polis, that's the key to defeating this woke nonsense. By building your own parallel community built on faith, family, and freedom, you learn the skills to destroy woke culture in your sphere. But you may be listening to this and thinking, you don't have a role in building this. That this is just something for Supreme Court justices or people in power or people with YouTube channels or whatever. You may think you don't have enough talent or skills or resources, that you're a stammerer, right? Moses, hello? You may feel like you're too old, too young, too boring, too awkward. It doesn't matter. You have a voice. And I'm going to show you how to use it. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and this is just a clip of the free 2-hour training I hosted last week where I dove into the very real hope we have for our conservative future and answered the question I hear every day, what do I do? Well, I laid out a 3-step plan for how we dominate culture and destroy every insane woke agenda that's corrupting our world. And I've unlocked the full free 2-hour training, but only until next Tuesday. Only until then. So access it for free right now by clicking on the link in the description below or going to events.turleytalks.com. Click below to watch, and I'll bonus send you a free copy of my book, The Triumph of Tradition. We are triumphant after all. Click below to watch the rest of this insightful, encouraging training right now.